The Pope has tendered an apology on behalf of the Church for the role they played in supporting and sanctioning colonization. He also apologized for the role the Church played in demonizing indigenous belief systems, which was a tool to basically exert white supremacy on Africans in order to exploit our natural resources. These kinds of informations are informations you would never hear in the church or you will hear from a preacher because it would lead their sheep into questioning the authenticity of their Christian beliefs and their Christian values, which would prompt them into leaving the church. Even with the church taking accountability, they still haven't taken or accepted the responsibility attached to it, seeing that the descendants of the enslaved and the colonized are still being impoverished by neo-colonial laws, and the citizens are still mentally enslaved. Hence, occasionally we will see comments like this.
Blacks were slaves. Did they ever go to Washington, D.C. and have a rally 200 years ago to protest against slavery? Here's what the blacks did about 150 years ago. They humbled themselves. They prayed. They sought God's face and they turned from their wicked ways.
Which seek to basically absolve our colonialists and shift the blames to our ancestors who were naive and didn't know better. For what is worth, Africa as a whole would never be truly free until colonial institutions take the responsibility of openly denouncing the misinformation, the misrepresentation they've riddled Africa with. Nonetheless, Africans and Pan-Afrocentrists should independently take up the responsibility and establish institutions that would reawaken the African consciousness. For those of us who think we should stop talking about colonization or stop blaming the church, you need to know that while church services were ongoing, a black man was being lynched, butchered, and hung in front of the church as deterrent to other black slaves who would have the mindset of basically disobeying their masters or basically running away. So when we talk about forgiveness, what exactly are we forgiven? And what effort have they made that would make us to forgive them as Africans? Africans need to be wise. We need to wake up and stop being colonized mentally and physically. And when we stop the physical enslavement of our people, we will now basically seek that our government provide, make laws and use our resources for the development of Africa.